Today, I'm taking a look at a vintage classic, the Nikkor 24mm f2.ai. With analog photography making a strong comeback, old film era lenses like this are getting attention again. Nikon first released it in 1977 as the AI version, followed by the AIS in 1981. Same optical design, just refined mechanics. It was built near the end of the era when Nikon still held absolute dominance in the professional segment. For decades, this was Nikon's fastest 24mm, holding that title until the AFS 24mm f1.4G arrived in 2010. Even more impressive, Nikon kept producing it until 2005 and selling it new until 2007, nearly 30 years on the market. That's a remarkably long run for any lens. But was that longevity due to its optical performance or something else? Let's find out. There is a later version of this lens, the Nikon Nikkor 24mm f2.AIS. It uses exactly the same optical formula as the AI version, but was mechanically upgraded to allow automatic aperture control in program auto and shutter priority modes with compatible cameras. I tested this lens on a Nikon Z7 Mark II. All the sample images were taken on a Nikon ZF. The lens was attached to both cameras using a Nikon FTZ Mark II adapter. You can find this review as a written blog post on our blog site, where you'll find detailed test charts on sharpness and other characteristics. Most of the sample images in high resolution are available on a separate site. I leave links to the blog post and the sample images in the description below. Here are the specifications of this lens. You can pause the video to take a closer look or check out our blog post for a more detailed overview. Handling and build quality. The build quality and handling of this lens are typical of Nikon's AI and AIS series. Small, compact, with a 52mm filter thread and made entirely of metal and glass. It feels solid in the hand, and once you have handled one of these lenses, you'll instantly recognize that same feel across most of the lineup. It features a relatively large, easy-to-grip focusing ring at the front with about a 175 degrees throw, allowing for precise manual focusing. The ring usually turns smoothly with pleasant damping, making the adjustments easy. On my sample, though, age is starting to show. There is a faint creaking sound occasionally when turning it. The distance scale is engraved and paint-filled, showing both feet and meters. On the barrel, colored markings corresponds to the aperture values, indicating depth of field for any given distance aperture combination, and there is also a red mark for infrared focus adjustment. The aperture ring has evenly spaced full stop markings and clicks firmly from f2 through f22. The front element doesn't rotate during focusing, which is always nice when using filters or filter holders. Optical features. Let's start with sharpness. To assess it, we examine three areas: sharpness near the infinity mark, the portrait distance, and in close-up shots. For the infinity sharpness test, we look at three areas of the image: center, midframe, and corner. Here, the AIS 24mm lens starts to show its age. At f2, center sharpness is good. The midframe is just okay, and the corners are soft. There is also a faint veil of dreamy softness across the entire frame with noticeably low contrast. Stopping down to f2.8 removes most of the veil, and center sharpness becomes very good. From f4 onward, the center is excellent and the midframe sharpens up nicely, though the corners remain only fair. By f8, midframe sharpness reaches a very good level. The corners performed their best around f11, while center and midframe areas are about the same or slightly better than at f8. Overall, f11 gives the most even sharpness across the frame. Sharpness at portrait distance. Let's look at the points of interest for portraits at portrait distance: the center, the inner circle, and the outer circle. Sharpness in the center and mid-frame is very good, but even here there is a slight dreamy veil at f2, along with reduced contrast. At f2.8, that haze clears up, contrast improves noticeably, and sharpness becomes very good in the center and good in the inner areas. By f4, sharpness reaches excellent levels in the center and very good in the inner region, with the outer areas now showing good sharpness as well. Sharpness at close-up distances. It's clear that this lens suffers from spherical aberration. At f2, the image looks hazy with low contrast, though the underlying sharpness is quite good. Stopping down just one stop to f2.8 clears up the haze. Contrast improves noticeably, and sharpness reaches nearly excellent levels. At f4, sharpness becomes excellent with very good contrast. It stays that way up to f16, where diffraction begins to soften the image slightly, though it still remains impressively sharp. The effect becomes more noticeable at f22. Lens distortion. There is a small amount of barrel distortion, which can be easily corrected with about +5 distortion adjustment in Lightroom or Photoshop. Vignetting. Vignetting is fairly strong wide open at f2, but it improves noticeably with each stop down to f4. Beyond that, further improvement is minimal. The vignetting never fully disappears, though from f5.6 onward it becomes moderate and in most normal shooting situations may hardly be noticeable. Focus shift and aberrations. As mentioned earlier, the lens suffers from spherical aberration, and the effect is even more noticeable here. Wide open, you'll see some softness and haze with reduced contrast, but that clears up nicely by f2.8. At f2, with a 24mm focal length, focus shift isn't really an issue. There is some longitudinal chromatic aberration, but it's mild, much less than you might expect from an older lens. In most shots, you won't notice it, and stopping down helps. By f4, it's basically gone. Lateral chromatic aberration, on the other hand, appears in the corner as purple fringing on high contrast areas. Most RAW converters fix it instantly with a single click, as you can see in this image. Flare resistance. This is the category that impressed me the most. I'm not saying it has flawless flare resistance, after all it's a vintage lens, but for a 45-year-old design, it performs far better than many modern lenses I've reviewed. You'll notice only minimal veiling flare around light sources, and occasional ghosting in tricky situations, but these hardly ever ruin your images. Coma. Typical of vintage lenses, the Nikkor 24mm f2 shows some coma. Stopping down helps significantly. By f4, it's practically gone, and by f5.6, coma is completely eliminated. Sun stars. These old, vintage Nikon lenses really have good aperture blade alignments, as they can, like this one, produce nice and distinct sun stars from quite wide apertures. The straight aperture blades helps, of course. In this case, it's only at its widest aperture, f2, that it doesn't produce any sun stars. From f2.8 you can get sun stars, and from f5.6 they are quite well defined with long distinct sun rays. Focus breathing. There is a tiny bit of focus breathing, but it's almost negligible. You might notice a slight change in distortion when focusing from very close distances to infinity, though the effect is minimal. Bokeh. We can't expect great bokeh from a 24mm lens. And this one doesn't have an especially short minimum focusing distance either. Still, if you get really close, you can achieve some background blur, though it's not the prettiest I've seen, at least to my eyes. Conclusion and sample images. First, things that I like: stop-down sharpness, chromatic aberration control, sun stars, flare resistance. Things that are not bad, but they are not very good either: spherical aberration, vignetting, lens distortion, focus breathing. And things I don't like: the coma, corner sharpness, bokeh. I've adjusted my rating slightly. Considering it's a vintage lens, it certainly can't compete with modern 24mm primes, but on a film camera, it's a very good performer. As long as you avoid f2, unless you need that dreamy effect in your images. You can get very sharp images across the most of the frame at nearly all apertures. For true corner-to-corner sharpness, stopping down to at least f8 or preferably f11 is best. Flare resistance is actually excellent, better than many modern lenses, and chromatic aberration is well controlled. Most of the other characteristics are decent as well. Overall, it's a very good wide-angle lens for film cameras. Just be cautious about placing anything important in the corners. As mentioned earlier, this review is also available in written format on our blog, where you will find detailed test charts on sharpness and other characteristics. I've also listed a few alternatives at the end of the article for those interested. Most of the sample images are available in high resolution on a separate site, and you'll find links to both the blog post and sample images in the description below. If you are thinking about buying this lens, you can support our work by using the links in the description. It won't cost you anything extra or affect the price, but it helps us a little. You can also donate to support the channel. A huge thanks for watching. Your comments are always welcome. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Until the next video, have a fantastic time, everyone.